Hi, Todd here from Urban Sound Studio, and today we're taking a look at multiband processing using the Drawmer 1976 and 1973. Now, multiband processing is unique because it allows us to process our audio by targeting specific frequencies or bands, and then in the end, we could almost use the product similar to an EQ by balancing the relative relationships between those bands. Now, the 1976 is a multiband saturator and width processor, and the 1973 is a multiband FET compressor. We're going to check both of these out, and then we're also going to check out the Softube models of each of these products. For now, let's dive on in and take a look at Drawmer's 1976. To start, we are going to mute our mid and high bands and focus on the low band. The crossover will determine where we separate the low from the mid-band. Let's sweep to figure out what we want to isolate in the low band. That is where I want to be to focus on the kick and the bass. Let's bring in some saturation. Let's use the width knob. I want to actually reduce the stereo field for more focus and punch. Listen before and after. Now let's focus on the mid-band. We already set the low crossover, so let's adjust the high crossover to determine the mid-band. I think this is where I want to be, but let's mute that and check the high band to make sure we're focused only on the top end elements. Now I'm going to saturate the mid-band. It adds a ton of character, helps the elements sit better in the mix, and smooths out transients. Let's widen the mid-band a bit. If we need to check our width, we can use the mono button to double check if we're losing too much information when widening a band. Let's bypass and engage the mid-band. Good. Now let's focus on the high band. I don't want to saturate this band much, but I do want to take advantage of adding some width. Let's bring in our other bands. I'll level match here. Now I can use the level on each band to rebalance my mix, similar to the way we would with an equalizer. This is just a quick demo across a lot of source material, but the 1976 is great on basses, vocals, 808s, and wide synths to smooth transients, add character, and even focus on low end or add width to the top or middle bands. Now, let's take a look at the Drawmer 1973, which is a multi-band FET compressor with a ton of character. The 1973 is similar to the 1976 in that it's multi-band, but now we're dealing with FET compression rather than saturation and width. Before we start, there are two magic switches on this unit, the big on the low band and the air on the high band. These circuits determine how certain frequencies are detected by the compressor and create the effect of a stronger bass element and more detailed highs. Let's turn them off for now and also mute our mid and high bands to focus on the low band. We will isolate our kick and bass with the crossover. Let's compress a bit. And engage the big switch. We get a ton of bass back. Let's put the release on program dependent and crank our compression up. Now, let's mute the lows and focus on the midband. Once again, I'll use my high crossover to determine the midband. Let's double check the high band to reserve it only for cymbals. I'll adjust the threshold. I want to crush this band. Let's shorten the attack for a ton of smack. Now let's bypass and then engage. We will mute the mids and focus on the highs. Listen to the air switch. That alone is magic. We will only compress the tiniest bit on the high band. Let's bring in our other bands. Now let's bypass the entire unit. I'll adjust my output gain. I want a bit more low end and a bit more mids. Let's crush all of our bands a bit more, because this time I'm going to parallel mix some dry signal back in. Now, we have complete control of the balance of our bands to add more cymbals or roll them out. Same with the lows. No kick, more kick. And the 1973 doesn't have to be used on a full mix. Try it on a vocal, try it on a bass, it works magic. Now let's check out the Softube models of each of these products. Softube added a few additional features. And trying out the plug-in version of a hardware product is a great way to experience the product before committing to a hardware purchase. So I encourage everybody to go out, demo the products, and see if these hardware units are right for you. The Softube 1976 adds a few additional controls. First up are the low and high cut filters, which are great on individual elements. You could also see we have metering that allows us to see the balance between mid and side information. Let's make some adjustments. Now, let's rebalance our mix. The Softube 1973 also adds a few additional parameters. Let's start with the big and air switch magic. One of the big advantages of this plugin is the ability to work in mid-side mode. I have other videos on mid-side processing that you should check out, but for now, let's go to the mid-band and mute all of our bands. I want to custom tailor the sides to control the width and remove the low end, and then add a little more ambience. Now let's mute the sides and focus only on the mids. I want to have my mids focus on punch and presence of the drums. Now we can switch between both bands to tailor the perfect balance of mids, sides, punch, and ambience in our drums. Thanks for watching. So what did you think of the Drawmer 1976 and 1973? And what do you think about multiband processing in general? Leave some comments in the chat below, and as always, please help support this channel by liking the video and hitting subscribe.